Now, I want to show you guys how to calculate a mortgage, because this is going to give you all the power that us lenders try to take away from you. Because if you need our help, then you won't go shop us, right? But I'm going to show you guys how to see if it makes sense when you're putting together, your little portfolio plan. If you see a property in your neighborhood, something like that, like Malvin, one of the best deals we ever did was in San Luis Obispo, like he said, which was a nightmare of a property. But they saw it on the street, saw it look like it was going to come up, that they were going to sell it. So the guy that was investing out for a great deal, your neighborhoods more than anybody else's. So if you see something going on that looks like maybe your neighbors are going to sell, if it's a great area, you have prime access. You get like first dibs, something that people would pay a lot of money to be able to get that kind of information. You guys will have it. So if you're already able to figure that out, let's see if you can make the mortgage work and if the rent can work. So if you go to use your phones, you can jump on Instagram, whatever, if you're bored. But if you have your phones, I totally get it. Go on your phone and you're going to look up this webpage. It's just called mortgagecalculator.org. It looks like this. And it's a very basic one, and it's one that it's mortgage calculator.org. Now, it's really important that you know how to use this, because Zillow, Redfin, all of them, they make so much money making you think the payment on anything is way lower than it actually is. Because they actually don't make their money on closed real estate deals. They don't make any money on that. Well, Zillow does now. But for the most part, they make money on selling your information. They're an information sharing business. So the more incentive they get to get your information, the more they can sell it for. So that's why if you know how your mortgage is built, you can do these calculations yourself. Is everybody on this pretty basic looking 1995 website? Okay, great. So let's do a theoretical property like right over here. Let's just start with like something that's 500,000. So you're gonna put 500 in the top. Now we're gonna do, for the first scenario, we're gonna do it like it's your very first home, right? So on your first home, we're just gonna do 3.5%, which is an FHA loan. Now we can do 5% if it's conventional, which a lot of the times is even more advantageous because your payment's going to be lower. Sometimes you don't have 5%, right? So 5% on 500,000 would be 25,000. If you have less than that, but you want your money to work for you, FHA is a great option. So you put 3.5, and then just make sure in the little bullet thing, instead of dollars, you do percent, right? So it's going to calculate based on the price. So then the loan amount should have automatically adjusted. Now, the next site I'm going to give you is so that you know what the average interest rates are at all times. That, again, is going to be really important. So you could put these numbers in. Instead of just having to ask a loan officer or give them your information, you can figure this out for yourself. We're going to go to one called Mortgage News Daily. So open up another tab. You're going to do Mortgage News Daily, just like this. Mortgage News Daily. And this is an excellent site because it's pulling the average rates from every major retail bank. So you think your Chases, your Wells Fargos, things like that. And it's averaging out what are those rates at. So when you're on there, you're going to see something really confusing looking at this little bar chart that you're like, what in the world is that? Don't even worry about that guy. What you want to do is you want to click on the top right-hand corner where it shows the little dash lines, right, for the links right here. So click on that guy. Then you click on mortgage rates. And then you're going to click on today's mortgage rates. And it's going to give you a bunch of the different loan products that are available. And to the far right-hand side, it's just telling you if the rates went down or they went up for the day, right? The one we're going to focus on just for this is FHA. Does anybody see what the FHA rate is for today? 5, right? So 5%. So now we're going to pop back over to our mortgage calculator. Let's put that in. Let's put 5% in to the mortgage calculator. Our term is going to be 30 years. So you don't need to worry about changing that. It's always going to default that. Don't have to worry about changing the start date. The property tax Now, the average property tax in California, pretty much for Orange County and LA County, is always going to be estimated by a lender at 1.25%. So just always remember that. It's 1.25. You're going to always want to put that in. If you're buying outside of LA County or Orange County, it can be quite a bit higher. That's why you're going to want your agents to look that stuff up. If you're buying over in Corona's got a very high tax rate because it's newer homes. Typically, if it was built in the 2000s and newer, it's going to have extra taxes on it. That's why Orange County is specifically such a great place to invest in. So our taxes are relatively low for California, not for the United States. But for California, it's great. So if you do 1.25 there, now PMI, the devil tax as we call it, on FHA is higher than on conventional because you're putting less down. So it's always going to be calculated at 0.85 unless you're buying into a high balance loan. But don't worry about that. For right now, we'll just put 0.85. That's always going to stay there. So just do a period, 0.85. Home insurance, $1,000 a year. HOA, if it's a condo, you would add that. But let's not add that. Let's just keep 0.85 as the PMI. Home insurance, $1,000 a year. So everybody got that stuff in? So we're going to hit calculate below that. Then scroll past the fields you just put in to where it says mortgage repayment summary. What payment are you guys seeing there?
Should we put a property tax value?
Oh, yes. Put for the tax value, put 1.25.
It has a dollar sign on it, not the percentage.
Yeah, I know. We're actually cheating it. It will know. It's pretty smart. It'll take the 1.25 and multiply it by the purchase price to get it. If that's all it's doing for all these fields, like the 0.85, the 1.25, just taking the purchase price and multiplying it by that, and then dividing it by 12.
What was the home insurance?
$1,000 a year is standard. You can do that.
An HOA?
Let's not do an HOA for the first one, but you can always, like, if you're looking at a condo, you would want to add the $300, right? $300. And then after you guys have that, when you hit calculate, scroll all the way, you're going to want to scroll past all of the fields again, and it'll show you after you've hit the calculate button what the repayment summaries are. You guys have that? Good job. $3,500. To the right of the 3,500, you should see another number. What is that number?
31.
Yeah, so you know what that is? That's the devil tax, the PMI. That's that coming off of the payment. So that's important to know because, like Kathy was saying, on average, homes have been appreciating almost 20% per month, which is ludicrous. Like Tesla, if you're investing in Tesla, it appreciated over the year at 50%, right? 50% on what you invested. So if you invested $10,000, you're going to get $20,000 back. Great. If your house was $100,000 and it was going up 20% per month, think about how much that, and you can live in that. You can't live in your Tesla yet. Maybe someday you will. So that's why when you're looking at the long term, the PMI will come off when you can refinance. On average, in the past, that used to take about 5 years. Now it's taking only 11 months for that to happen, for you to remove PMI. And now you're kind of seeing the power of when you're investing in a house, when you're using a house to get money, because your payment's always going to go down on your house. So whether you decide to do either of those strategies, you decide to rent it out, stable tenants, you decide to do the Airbnb move, your outgoing expense is always going down. And your rents are always going up. Your Airbnb value is always going up. So you're always making more on the investment. That's why it's so important for the first one. We talk about so much, like it's really good to get your lay of the land. And a friend of mine, he bought a house. The pool was disgusting. It was just this huge fixer-upper. He bought it over in Victorville. And nobody wants to live in Victorville, but he bought it in Victorville, right? Spent about a year doing his own sweat equity. And then on the weekends, he literally just started Airbnb it out just to see what it would be like and testing. And he had a family member live down the street. He would stay at his family member's house and he'd go spy on him because he was so worried about what was going to happen to his house, He was like, they're going to mess it up or something. So he'd listen to see if there was the music was too loud and stuff. And overall, it just taught him kind of how to get into the business. Now he owns 3 properties and he's doing all of them. But it was just like Malvin said, you kind of have to take it a little step back and spy and see how it's going so you can figure out if this is good for you. Because some people are going to do that and they're not going to like it at all. And you're going to be like, I want a renter, I want him to be a retired cop, and I want him to have a dog, maybe 3 legs, and that's it. He watches Jeopardy every night. I love that idea. Let's just do that for the rest of my life. Or you might be wanting the quick money that you can get from the Airbnb. So having that set up so you can do it that way is really important. Now, the next thing with the mortgage calculator I want you to see is how do interest rates going up, how are they going to affect you? Like, are they going to make your life, like, should it be this scary? Because I know you're seeing on the news, like, rates are going up, they're going up so fast. Should you be afraid of the interest rates as an investor? Well, if you still have, your little guy there, instead of the 5%, put 6% for the interest rate. And it should have saved everything for you. And then, how much is your payment? What is the payment? Somebody, if they have it pop up. The new payment.
What was that? Changing.
In this guy right here, in the interest rate, if you change it from 5 to 6, let's see what happens. $300. How quickly is rent going up? Very quickly, more than $300, right? And 6% is possible. We could hit 6%. Try 7%. How much more to go up to? It's basically the exact same thing, right? Another 300 almost. This is to show you that fear works against you completely. Interest rates don't matter. Most investors don't even care about the rates. Why don't they care about the rates? Because the rate doesn't determine whether it's profitable or not. You do. You look at it, make sure you run the number. Does it make sense? Can I rent it out for more than that? Can I Airbnb it out for more than that? If those answers are yes, it's a great investment. The rate doesn't matter. If anything, when the rates get low, great. You refinance your first property, your second property, your third property, you refinance all of them. I have people that will refinance like 7 properties all at one time when the rates really drop. And then they're bringing in 30% more because they're dropping the mortgages on all of them, right? So as long as you're just making sure you're using a calculator like this to know, do the numbers add up? And that's why good agents are so important because they're going to do a rent analysis for you if you're looking for long term. You're going to know exactly what you can rent that out for. And the other thing that's so awesome about Orange County, rent control is around, but it's not like LA. Like you get somebody in LA that's like a hippie from like at the beach that could be renting your place for $400 and you cannot smoke him out. Like he'll stay there forever. And you cannot get any more rent from it. Whereas in Orange County, you get prevailing rent on almost everything. So having a team though that can look that stuff up and help you is going to be key. But also knowing your own numbers is going to make it a lot easier for you. Does that all kind of make sense? So using those two in tandem, you just took away like 90% of my job if you could do that. So then what we do, if you have a good loan officer, which I wasn't always a good loan officer, but I want to say I'm a lot better now that I'm older, is somebody that's going to go after the best deal for you because they're going to want to build a relationship long term. Because a lot of loan officers will make money on the rate that they're giving you. But if they're smart, they'll try to get you the best rate possible so that you can grow your income that's going to help you come back time and time and time again. And by showing you the averages, you should always be below the average. If you got a good loan officer, you should always be below the average. Because the average is just what everybody else is charging. But your guy, he should be charging you less, right? So just always check that. And that's pretty much it on the lending side. I mean, does that all kind of make sense?